Why nothing men do should ever bother you. I'm about to change your entire perspective on how you deal with men. Because for too long, you've been stressing, overthinking, watching stories, stalking pages, and losing your mind over a man. That ends today. Because in today's video, I'm about to systematically break down why nothing a man ever does affects you or your ability to be happy. By the end of this video, you'll be completely unbothered by any call, text, lack of interest, or even his lies. Because you'll finally realize men don't have nearly as much power over you as you thought they did. Let's start with outcomes, because when women ask me questions, whether it be privately or in my community, I always have to help them with the understanding that you cannot control the outcome of your relationship or situationship with a man. I know that in your mind, you want so badly for the situation to work out specifically with the guy that you're most interested in. But the reality of it is, you can only control yourself, your own actions, and how you show up as a partner in this relationship. You have to also understand, if that man chooses to not show up as the best version of himself or put his best foot forward in the relationship, that is his choice. But you have to be okay with accepting that that was his choice, and that if the relationship doesn't work out because he chose not to put his best foot forward, then that is perfectly okay. You will not pass away just because you don't end up with that specific guy. I want you to always have in your mind that the outcome you're looking for as it relates to being in a romantic relationship that's healthy and long lasting is not just about being with one specific man that you met and you're really attracted to right now. It's about being in that type of situation with whoever is gonna fit that criteria. And the only way that you will know for sure that that man fits that criteria is because the outcome is exactly what you expected out of a romantic relationship. However, if it's not him, then it's not him. If he chooses to not show up for you how he should be in order for the outcome to be that you guys end up together, well, then that's perfectly okay. It doesn't affect your ability to continue to be happy in the future with another man who is actually prepared to show up for you as he should. This next one's gonna sound really weird. I do not want you to be bothered when men disrespect you. In fact, I want you to allow men to disrespect you. Let me explain. When I say allow a man to disrespect you, I don't mean don't stand up for yourself so that he can walk all over you. I'm talking about if a man chooses to disrespect you, I want you to give him space so that you can see how far he's really willing to go with it. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say you're talking to a guy and he decides to go out to a party in his local area, but let's say you couldn't come because you had work or you had a situation or you already had some plans. And at that party, you learn, maybe through a mutual friend that might be at that party, that his ex is actually at that party. And you know deep down in your mind, you're like, oh, I just feel something in my bones and my intuition tells me he's really not over his ex and something might happen while he's there. I just don't know because we've been in a really weird place and I don't know, maybe he knew that his ex was going to be there and that's why he chose to go to this party, and maybe that's why he wasn't really that keen on me coming. And so you're thinking to yourself, let me call him, let me spam text him, let me pull up to the party so that I can prevent him from disrespecting me and disrespecting our relationship and stop him from doing the thing that I think he might do in this moment. And this is why I say allow men to disrespect you, because in that moment, if he feels like, oh, well, we were in a little bit of a fight and because I don't really like her right now or she got on my nerves, when I see my ex at this party, I'm going to flirt with her. And then maybe when I flirt with her, she'll flirt back with me. And then maybe the flirting will turn into kissing. And then maybe the kissing will turn into an invite back to her place or an invite into the car to have a one-on-one conversation. And then you don't know what could happen from there. But I want you to allow it to happen. I want you in that moment where you think, oh, well, this could escalate and he could go really far with it. And this could happen to the point where he disrespects me and then he cheats on me and he sleeps with his ex. I don't want that to happen, so I need to stop it. No, you don't. No, you don't. And this is why I say you don't need to be bothered by when men disrespect you, because the reality of it is, if he's going to take it that far, allow him to take it that far so that you can know that he took it that far. The worst thing that could possibly happen to you is when a man is willing to disrespect you and he's ready to disrespect you, and he would disrespect you if it wasn't for you preventing him from disrespecting you totally. The worst thing that could possibly happen is you don't realize how far he would have gone because you stepped in before he was allowed to go as far as he would have gone if you didn't step in. Every time that happens, you don't get a chance to see a man's true colors. And I want you to see a man's true colors. See him for who he really is and what he's really capable of. Because when you finally pull off that mask, it'll hit you in the face. And this is what I want you to never forget. If he's going to disrespect you, who's actually losing? Not you. Because you're showing up as the best version of yourself in this relationship to make it successful. So if he's willing to disrespect you behind your back or in front of you directly, well, then he's the one that's not going to be able to have access to you after you realize that you deserve better. So why are you bothered about the fact that he's willing to lose out on the best thing that's ever happened to him? That's not a your loss thing. That's not a your problem thing. That's not something you even need to stress about. In fact, that's something you should celebrate. The idea that if he chooses to disrespect you, you will be walking out of his life forever, and he will be regretting it forever. I truly mean it when I say I want to give you your power back by not allowing men to be in control of your ability to be happy, to be successful, or to feel love, and empowering you with the new mindset that makes you even more confident and subsequently more attractive to the men that do find you interesting, desire you, and want to pursue you. Which is why I want you to join my community that I call Do Nothing for Men, where I teach you step by step with lesson plans and worksheets how to deal with men in a way that allows you to give that energy back to yourself, but also simultaneously get exactly what you want from the men that you deal with. So click the first link in my description if you want to join that powerful community to take your power back in your relationships. I want to be really serious with you for this next point. There are lots of men out there. Please never forget that. I feel like sometimes when you're in a situation with a guy and you really like him and you're so hyper fixated on everything he does, the way he twitches his eyes, the way he holds his fork, like everything he does, you're just like, it matters so much to you. You start to think to yourself, it's a delusion, it's a virus, that he is the only man that exists in this world. And this is the other lie. It's a virus in your mind that your mind will tell you, it's playing tricks on you. Oh, well, you rarely ever like guys. And so like you like a guy literally once a year or once in a blue moon. And so now that you finally like the guy, there's never going to be another guy that you're going to like this much. So why would he do this? You have to be with... No, you don't. There are lots of men out there. Do not ever have a scarcity mindset as it relates to men, because men exist all over the world, okay? And just because one guy is your type because of his character, his humor, his looks, his attractiveness, the way that he carries himself, you do realize, because there are so many men in this world, there are so many different combinations of personalities and characters and looks, you are bound to eventually find another guy that you are also just as attracted to as long as you put yourself out there enough. But this scarcity mindset virus that no men exist in the world that you could possibly like and be attracted to is going to make you feel so bothered and so flustered by every single thing he says and does, but you don't need to be. Just like I talked about with outcomes and allowing the outcomes to be the outcomes. Not that you don't try in the relationship, but understanding that as long as you put your best foot forward and control what you can control, you can't stress yourself over what the man chooses to do and how the man chooses to show up in the relationship. Listen to me very carefully. There will always be a man out there for you. You are not only perfect with one particular man, and that's the only relationship dynamic that could ever work for you and the only way you could ever find. Stop that scarcity mindset BS. You can be with other men. You can be attracted to other men. You can have a great relationship and a great relationship dynamic with lots of other men, especially men that you just started dating and just started seeing. Okay? These men are a dime a dozen. I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about any of them and none of them matter, but you should also be understanding that just because a situation doesn't work out with one man, that doesn't mean your life is over. And if you have a question for me about your relationship or situationship that you want my advice or guidance on, click the link in my description, submit your question to me, and I'll respond with a voice message guiding you on exactly what to do and exactly how to respond. I want you to really pay attention to this next point because it's not really going to make sense when I first talk about it. So let me explain. I want to talk about goals. You must have your own goals and desires of what you want out of a relationship, because when you have those, men can bother you with what they choose to desire out of a relationship. Let me explain how this works. If you don't have a clear understanding of exactly what you want and desire out of a relationship, then when you meet a man, you'll kind of be stumbling and fumbling because your desires will be vague. So you'll kind of be like, well, I don't know what I want, but I also know that the way our relationship dynamic is just doesn't quite work for me. But I'm kind of frustrated that it doesn't work for me because I want to like you and I want this to work because I'm really into you and attracted to you. But like, I'm just overall frustrated and I'm not happy with what I'm receiving out of this relationship. And it leaves you in this very weird headspace where you don't really know what you want, but at the same time, you're very unsatisfied with what you're receiving from that man in this situation or relationship. And so the reason I talk about goals and how it helps you not care about anything that a man is doing is because when you go into a relationship or a talking stage or an overall date with an already clear understanding of this is what I expect and desire out of a relationship. This is the value that I want to extract out of a relationship. This is the dynamic that I want, and this is the way that I want to grow and get there. So once you understand that, you get into a relationship or you go on that very first date, and then you're very clear on, okay, this is what I want out of this relationship. If he doesn't want the same thing, then he's not in alignment with me. If he's not in alignment with me, well, then I don't need to be dealing with that guy in the first place. It doesn't matter if what he wants is perfect for him and his lifestyle and what he needs. If he's not in alignment with me and his goals are very different than mine, his goals don't have to be the same as mine. In fact, the recognition of the fact that our goals are very different is really, really beneficial to me because then I don't have to waste time being frustrated but not understanding why I'm frustrating in this relationship, because I'm not understanding that the reason I'm frustrated is because I'm not receiving what I actually want to receive out of this relationship. And so having goals before you go on that very first date gives you a calm demeanor where when you're dealing with that man and you understand what he wants, you're not offended by what he wants. When he tells you that he doesn't want to have children and he doesn't want to be married, meanwhile, you know that you want to have children in the next 3 years and you want to be married in the next 3 years, you don't feel offended that he's telling you that his goals and desires for himself are very different from your goals and desires for yourself. In fact, you feel relieved that you can be so clear on the fact that your goals and desires are so drastically different that you couldn't possibly spend any time trying to build and work on this relationship with goals and desires that far apart. Now let's discuss boundaries, because I want you to know if a man doesn't want you or loses interest in you because you have boundaries, for example, you don't sleep with men on the very first date, then he didn't like you in the first place enough for you to even care about what he thinks. Why am I saying this to you? Because sometimes you can get overly concerned with what that man thinks about what your preferences are, or what your boundaries are, or what you will or won't do. Because you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't want him to not be interested in me because I don't want to do A, B, and C. Well, why do you not want to do A, B, and C? Is it because it makes you uncomfortable? Is it because it wouldn't be advantageous to you? Is it because it would be putting you in a position where you don't want to be in? Well, if that's the case, well, you're allowed to not want to do those things. And you're allowed to say, well, this is a boundary that I have that I'm not going to cross or change for you. And how he chooses to feel about that is however he chooses to feel about that. You don't need to care how he feels about what you want for yourself and the boundaries that you have, and recognize that the men who respect you and the men who desire you and want to be with you and actually want to build with you will have no problem with the idea that you have boundaries, because you're allowed to be an individual who has boundaries and preferences that don't exactly mirror what he wants. And the fact that he doesn't like you or shows you less interest or shows you less attention simply because you choose to have boundaries clearly indicates that he was never here to build with you in the first place. He was only here to control you and take advantage of you and extract resources from you. I've been so looking forward to sharing and discussing this next point with you. I've never gotten a chance to talk about things like this on this show yet. When men show you through the fact that they are a bad talker exactly who they are, please don't allow that to bother you. Because what will happen a lot of times is when you really like a guy, a specific guy in particular, you almost like want him to like shut his mouth. Please be quiet, don't talk. Because you find him so hot, so sexy, and so attractive when you know nothing about him. Then what will happen is if you go on a date with him and you're asking him good questions, or maybe he's just a chatterbox, and he starts telling you about his past relationships and how he kind of mistreated his ex, and he starts talking to you about his mindset, and maybe his mindset is a little bit toxic. Maybe he's someone who doesn't seem like he's ready for a commitment, or maybe he starts discussing topics and ideas where you're like, ooh, I completely disagree with you in this very fundamental foundational issue that really would mean that we can't be compatible in a relationship if you feel that way and I feel this way. What will happen though is that you'll feel so bothered and so flustered by the fact that he feels so differently than you, and he's literally talking himself out of being a good partner or making you feel like he's a good partner or a good potential partner to you, that you'll be like, oh, I need to fix him. I need to get him out of this toxic mind state. I need to get him to feel differently about this aspect of life or this aspect of relationships. I need to get him to want different things. I need to have his morals be different. I want him to be a better person and treat women better. Why? Why do you want that? Why do you need that? You don't need that. Let him be a bad person. Let him be a bad partner. Let him tell you and reveal to you the true nature of exactly who he is and exactly how he acts. If you're asking great questions and you're on this date and you're gathering information and he's literally talking himself out of getting access to you, let him talk himself out of getting access to you. Don't allow that to be upsetting to you in a way where you try and jump in and almost be like, well, no, how about we don't talk about our past relationships? How about we don't talk about our exes? Because you're almost feeling like the more you're talking, the more you're making it clear to me that if I stick with you and if I invest in you, then I'm definitely wasting my time. And I don't want to feel that way right now. I'd rather feel good about the idea of exploring a relationship with you because I want to like you. And I also don't want to feel like I'm purposely wasting and sabotaging my life by spending it with you. Recognize that it's actually a blessing in disguise for men to reveal exactly who they are to you by being a chatty Pathy and telling you all about their past relationships and their mindset and their views on this and their views on that. Because now that he's revealed himself to you, you can make an educated decision that this is not the man that I'm looking for. And it's very clear to me, so I won't waste another second of my life on a man who is not what I'm looking for. Clarity is another reason why I never want you to be bothered by anything men do to or with you, because a man will always send you a message. And I mean that like physically send you a message, like a text message, and also emotionally like sending you a message, because men communicate to you exactly how they feel about you at all times. No matter what action or what non-action they're taking, it's always a communication of his level of interest or disinterest in you and in this relationship. And the reason I don't want you to be bothered by this is because clarity is always a good thing. I know it's scary sometimes, and I know it's unfortunate sometimes when a guy disappoints you because you thought he would be better than he actually ends up being. But clarity will always help you make the best decision for you and your future. Having clarity about what a man wants with you, what his interest is in you, what he is trying to get from this relationship, whether he wants to build with you, whether he's in alignment with you, whether he has the same desires for his futures as you. Accepting the fact that a man will always be sending you a message, whether he's taking action or he is not taking any action, will always allow you to feel like, well, I know what this is. When he's not texting me, when he's not calling me, when he's pretending like he's always busy 24/7 and he never has time to go out on a date with me, or he's too tired to call me, or he's too tired to do anything with me except for invite me over to his house to eat stale chips and then jackrabbit himself inside of me, when he's acting like that towards me, I don't need to be confused. I really have clarity. But sometimes I don't want to accept that as clarity. I want to pretend like I'm confused about his non-action, when you know deep down in your heart his non-action is always a clear message of how he feels. And accepting that as the truth is a big part of allowing that to never bother you. Because once you have clarity, you can then move forward with that clarity and take action on that clarity, whether it be continuing to invest yourself in this man and in this relationship, or understanding that it's a complete waste of your time and you should stop talking to this guy immediately. Next, I don't want you to ever be bothered because men will always make their own decisions about whether or not they like you and whether or not they desire to pursue you or show their interest in you by pursuing you actively. Sometimes you might go out somewhere and you might see a guy and you might think to yourself, are we playing like eye tag? Are we flirting without actually saying something? Maybe he's interested in me, but why doesn't he just come up to me? Why doesn't he just approach me? And you're thinking to yourself, do I have to like fill in the blanks here? Do I have to like take the extra step here? Why doesn't he just show his interest by asking me out on a date or coming up to me and striking a conversation and asking for my number? Why doesn't he just take the step to properly pursue me? But the fact that he doesn't pursue you is a decision in itself. And sometimes it's very difficult to accept that when that man doesn't pursue you, when that man doesn't approach you, when that man doesn't ask you for your number or ask you out on a romantic date, that is him telling you that he's made a decision, that his interest in you isn't at the threshold where he will be taking action on whatever interest that he has because he wants to build something with you. Accepting that can be painful. And sometimes you don't want to accept that. So you allow yourself to be confused and then it bothers you and you ask yourself so many questions and nothing makes sense to you and you feel like you should be doing more, but you don't have to be doing more because men will make their own decision about whether or not they want to pursue you. And I want you to also understand this. This is why I don't want you to be bothered by it at all. A lot of times when a man chooses to or to not pursue you, it really has nothing to do with you and even more to do with where he's at in his life, what he desires, and what may be going on behind the scenes that you might have absolutely no control of or no understanding of. Like maybe he has a wife or a whole girlfriend or a whole ongoing situation that would make it hard for him to pursue you. Or maybe he's just a weak, shy man who wouldn't be able to sustain a relationship with you in the first place because he's not masculine enough, because he's not enough of a leader that he would ever be able to be consistent with you in a way that would allow the relationship to continue and be healthy and grow while you stay in your feminine energy. So why are we being bothered that a man chooses to not pursue you when it has really nothing to do with you in the first place? And you wouldn't even be happy being in a relationship with the man that finds it so difficult to actually pursue you anyways. This next one's gonna sound weird. You don't ever need to be bothered by what a man desires. I know it's gotta sound, just hold on. When a man tells you something like, oh, well, I want you to text me more. You never text me first and I feel like I'm doing all the texting. I plan all the dates and it's so hard, it's so difficult to go into Google Maps and like find another restaurant for us to go to in our local area that's less than 15 minutes away because we already live down. It's so difficult. I do them all. And I just feel like maybe like you don't really like me. You don't really like me because you don't text me first. You should text me first. You should. And so you start thinking to yourself, oh, maybe because he desires this and he's expressing his desires and I want to listen to his desires and not upset him, that I should start doing the things that he's asking for, like texting him first, like planning and organizing the dates, like calling him first all the time so that he feels like I also like him as well. Anytime a man expresses a desire like that, like, hey, I want you to start doing more in this relationship for me, just let it go in one ear and out the other. I know it sounds like you're being a bad partner, but I want you to understand this very important concept. Men don't actually want you to pursue them. They say they desire you to pursue them because it would make their life a lot easier. But in terms of what they're attracted to, they are not attracted to women who pursue them. They are attracted to women who they have to pursue. Do not allow yourself to get all discombobulated when a guy tells you he's frustrated by the fact that you are not pursuing him. What he's frustrated by is the fact that he actually has to work for you. But in reality, he's not actually frustrated by it because in reality, he likes you more for the fact that he has to work in pursuing you. And it sounds very counterintuitive because you're like, why is he complaining about something that he actually likes? Because he's confused. He's confused about the difference between what makes his life easy and what actually gets the best response out of him. With men, you have to understand and be completely unbothered by the idea that men will ask you for things that make their life easier. But simultaneously, once you give them those things, you will not get the response that you want out of him. and it will completely break the dynamic in a way where now you have to continue doing all the things you've been doing in terms of your pursuit of him in order for the relationship to be sustained, because now that he's receiving an easy, soft life as it relates to not having to work for you in this relationship, he becomes complacent, he becomes comfortable, and then that becomes the new norm of your relationship dynamic. Don't forget to join my community by clicking that very first link in my description. I will see you in the very first lesson.